Hey all, Elise here from the Metaview team, and this video is all about inbound recruiting. I'm going to walk you through how you can get started on our application review agent to help you and your team manage that large volume of inbound applications so you can fast forward to the more important sides of recruiting, actually speaking to your candidates. So let's jump in. Once you've signed into your Metaview account, you'll find application review over on the left-hand panel. As I head to the application review homepage, I can see all of the live roles that I have already imported for Metaview's application review. The key thing to note here is application review plugs directly into your ATS, and you have full control over which roles you actually want to run through the application review agent. But I've just kicked off a brand new role and I know I'm going to get a really high volume of applications. So let's run through the process end to end so I can get this set up ready for these applications to be reviewed by Metaview. To get started, I'm going to come to the top right to start application review. Metaview will then read through all the live recs that you have on your ATS and you'll see a list of all of these here. The role that I've just kicked off is a CSM, so I'm going to bring this in for review. The next step is I want to configure how these applications should move through my ATS. So first, I want to tell Metaview at what stage in the pipeline do we actually want to import candidates from into the review. Then I want to set my rejection template. This is the email that will get sent to candidates that we reject out of the pipeline. And finally, I'm going to set my default rejection reason. We can of course amend this on a candidate by candidate basis as we move candidates through the pipeline. But this is going to be my default reason for when I one-click reject. Moving forward to the next stage, I'm now going to start to add some context that's going to set the benchmark of what a good candidate looks like. The more context we add here, the better our application review will be, as Metaview will have all the knowledge it needs to understand what good looks like for your role. You can see Metaview has already pulled some pieces from the ATS. So your job post and any scorecard and questions that it can pull from the ATS, Metaview's already going to add that as context. But then this is my moment to come in and add some extra pieces to make sure the agent really understands what a CSM at my company actually looks like. So here I'm also going to add the job description, and I'm also going to add my competency framework as well. So now I've added all the context of the role, Metaview has a really good understanding of what good looks like to set the framework of evaluation across these candidates. Now, as I move forward to the next stage, Metaview is going to take all of this context and build it into my ideal candidate profile. For those of you who are familiar with our sourcing agent, you'll recognize this ICP structure. Your ideal candidate profile, or ICP, is your framework that Metaview will then use as the standard as it starts to review all of your inbound applications. Because I've uploaded my context, Metaview has digested all of that context and already given me my first draft ICP. Now, all I need to do is the final 5%, take a look through, make sure this accurately reflects the role, click in and add in any nuance that I want Metaview to be aware of. And then once I've added all the pieces that are important for this role, I can start my review. What you'll then see in real time is Metaview go through every single application that is live against this role, and we'll start to compare them directly against that ICP that we've just built. What that means is within seconds, you have reviewed 100% of your inbound applications and know exactly which candidates you should be focusing on first as you start to move through the pipeline. You'll see in our first column on the left, Metaview is giving us a ranking for each candidate on how they compare to our ICP that we have built. The candidates are ranked on 4 levels: great fit, good fit, okay fit, and poor fit. And as I hover over each of these rankings, Metaview is giving me its justification on why this candidate has been tagged with this ranking. This means that your team are guided by application review, but the decision still lives within your hands. The human is always in the loop at every point throughout Metaview's application review. As it's reviewing each of these candidates, it's also assessing whether any candidates are at high risk, medium risk, or low risk of application fraud. And you'll see the result to that in the badge next to their name. Now I have a quick glimpse within seconds of which of my candidates in the pipeline may be at high risk of application fraud. So I know exactly which candidate I should dig a little bit deeper on before moving them into my pipeline. As we continue to review our pipeline of candidates, I can see at a really quick glimpse key insights for each of these candidates, including their current role, current company, education, and location. As I scroll through, Metaview is also pulling out some key statistics across this candidate's experience. I can see what their current tenure is versus what their average tenure and role is, and I can also see their total years of experience. So no more having to do the mental math myself when looking through CVs, Metaview is pulling these insights out for me so I can see within seconds. The final piece as I scroll across is Metaview is now also pulling out for me a skill by skill comparison. Unlike the start where Metaview is giving us an overall role alignment, These individual columns, Metaview has actually pulled out for each of the skills that we listed as core competencies in our ICP. How strongly does the candidate match each of these areas? So this gives me added flexibility. I can now filter by overall role alignment, or maybe my hiring manager says they really want to focus on candidates who are really strong on one particular skill. Now what I can do is start to actually filter by this specific skill. I just want to pull out all the candidates who have really high revenue ownership experience, and I want to start focusing on them first. So as you can see, this gives you complete control over how you want to manage your pipeline and complete flexibility on where exactly you want to start when it comes to reviewing your applications. But now that I've got the prioritization down, let's actually click into each of these profiles to start our review. For each of your candidates, Metaview is giving you a condensed summary of their experience. I can also look at their actual application and start to see the justification of how they align with our ICP, their likelihood of being a fraudulent candidate, and then all of our key pieces around application put within one graph. I can then see their full CV and then any application questions they submitted. From here, I have all the information I need to make a final decision on this candidate. And this is where our agent starts to learn from you. In this example, I can see Amelia has worked at some really large enterprise organizations. Her experience looks great, but actually for the role that I'm recruiting for, we're looking for candidates who come from much smaller teams. So I'm going to reject Amelia from the pipeline, and I'm going to give this feedback to Metaview. So here I've just left one line of feedback explaining to Metaview that I'm not looking for anyone from enterprise organizations. As I look through the next application, I can see we have some more enterprise organizations. So as I review more candidates, I'm going to continue leaving some feedback. And now what I'm doing is actually training the agent to more deeply understand what this role requires. You'll see as I come back to the pipeline, my ICP now has some suggestions. So what Metaview has done is it's taken the feedback that I left and it's gone and updated the ICP completely on its own. This is extremely powerful because what this means is Metaview is continuing to learn from you without you having to change your process at all. From here, I can come in and make some changes to these, but most likely these suggestions from the agent are going to reflect exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and confirm. What Metaview will then do is reassess all of my candidates and give me a new up-to-date evaluation on each of the remaining candidates within my pipeline. So now we can see Metaview has gone through all of my 95 applications, reevaluated them against our new ICP, and I now have a new ranking for each of my inbound applications. The power of an agent that continuously learns from you really is unmatched. What that means is as your role evolves and the hiring manager starts to interview candidates and priorities change, all you need to do is continue reviewing your applications, giving feedback to Metaview on candidates that aren't a fit versus candidates that are, and Metaview's going to stay up to date with exactly what your hiring manager is looking for. It feels a little bit like magic. And that is how you can get started on application review. If you want to learn more, you can book a demo to chat with our team, or you can get started for free today.